and welcome to Healthy Saves for your holiday faves at Good Samaritan Hospital. My name is Megan Smith, and I'm a dietitian at Good Sam, and I would say the best part of my job is supporting our bariatric surgery group. With me today is Chef John Faith, our executive chef, who feeds us delicious meals at the hospital all year round. We're here today to give you some tips and tricks on how to tweak your holiday favorite dishes to make them healthier so you can stay on track and still enjoy your favorite foods. Everybody wants to be able to enjoy the holidays with their family, and food's a big part of that celebration for most of us. These tips will help you feel good about what you're bringing to the table, and your friends and family will love it too. We'll start off by talking about a few common holiday dishes and how to tweak them to make them fit into your healthy eating plan. Then Chef John will demonstrate how to put together a delicious no-noodle vegetable lasagna that's bursting with veggies, protein, and most importantly, flavor.
Thank you, everyone. My name is John Faith. I'm the chef here. One of the challenges we have at Good Samaritan Hospital is to make the holiday favorites that are healthy and that many different people here, patients at Good Sam Hospital, are able to enjoy for the holidays. What we did was we took, for instance, right here, a carrot parsnip puree. The way we do that is we take parsnips, which is an uncommon, unused veg, but it looks like a white carrot. The flavor of it is very nutty, it's creamy, and it's a great replacement for a lot of the carbohydrates that we have in our recipes. What we do is we take that, we peel it, we cut it into chunks, we take some carrots, peel this, cut it into chunks, put them in water, blanch them, get them very soft, put them in a blender, drain it, put it in a blender. And then what we do is we add some olive oil, we add some orange juice, and then we take an orange and we just zest the orange into it. Puree that in the blender, and this is the way it comes out. It's a great, very rich flavor dish. Maggie, you can say why we do that?
Yes, of course. Now, by replacing traditional mashed potatoes or mashed sweet potatoes with half parsnips and half carrots, we can really cut down on the carbohydrate content because carrots are much lower in carbs than potatoes. The parsnips have a lot more fiber, which is important to keep you feeling fuller. And also a common issue after bariatric surgery is a lack of fiber intake. So this will really help keep your GI tract functioning as it should and keep you satisfied. Parsnips also give a creamy texture to this dish, so we don't really need to use heavy cream or whole milk, which can really increase the fat and calorie content of mashed potatoes. So this dish cuts the calorie content of traditional mashed potatoes by about half. It has about 1/3 of the carbohydrates of traditional mashed potatoes, and you should feel more satisfied even with less fat and calories because of the fiber content.
Next up, we have to replace the traditional stuffing, which is usually either cornbread or regular bread. What we did is we took cauliflower. Cauliflower is a very popular item. It's popular in making pizza dough. It's popular to replace a lot of the carbohydrates, doughs, and flour and things like that. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to make it a lot like your normal dressing or stuffing. We do onions, carrots, celery. You could put mushrooms. I think the tip here would be, one, is to, like for instance, the mushrooms, cook them all separate, put them all together. Two is that you really want to add that flavor that you would have in a normal stuffing. Fresh sage, fresh parsley, fresh thyme. These things are what really make up a stuffing. It's not necessarily the bread. And then what we do is we use olive oil, maybe a little butter in there to give it a little more richness. But in the end, we have a vegetarian stuffing that is great for a turkey.
Perfect, thank you. After bariatric surgery, bread, even in small amounts, is usually not well tolerated. It's a food that we tell our patients to stay away from for a long time, if not indefinitely. And even if you didn't have surgery, low carb is the way to go now. So anytime you can reduce your carb intake, whether you have diabetes or just trying to eat a little bit healthier, this is a great substitution. So we have a lower calorie stuffing that is high in fiber and chock full of vitamins that you wouldn't find in traditional stuffing. And this also counts as a serving of vegetables, whereas your normal stuffing would not. The mushrooms in there do lend an earthy texture, which is very nice. You can, if you want to increase the protein content, add some white beans or even some low-fat turkey sausage or something along those lines. Replacing half of your butter or all of your butter in a recipe with olive oil will not save calories because it is still a very calorie-dense food, any oil or fat is, but it's a heart-healthy fat instead of having all the saturated fat that's in butter and other animal fats. So with this recipe, again, about half the calories of traditional stuffing, about half the fat as well, and almost double the protein.
And lastly, favorite of everybody, green bean casserole, something we've all grown up with. The traditional green bean casserole that we've had as kids growing up has canned soup. It had those crispy onions you buy in a little container. I don't know what they're made of, but they say they're crispy onions. Anyway, what we did here is that we just made everything fresh. I think the big difference and what you're going to find if you want to take a little extra time, if you can buy fresh produce, it's always better than buying frozen. You could still use frozen, but fresh is always better. We have fresh mushrooms rather than a canned mushroom soup that's very high in fats and sodium. We're going to take fresh mushrooms. The trick there, once again, get your pan hot, saute your mushrooms to get a little bit of that caramelization. Put it on the side for when you're about to put everything together. Fresh green beans, just blanch them off. And then what we do is we take either skim milk or a low sodium chicken stock. We make a roux and thicken that up a little bit. Put everything together, put it in a pan, put it in the oven, and near the end you're going to take some fresh onions and you could either dredge them in flour. You can use almond flour like we did here if you don't want to use anything with gluten. And you could either bake them or you could just fry them in a little pan and sprinkle them on top the last 5 minutes of your casserole, and you have a real casserole, a real string bean casserole.
So again, we've replaced a lot of the fat with heart-healthy fats because traditionally this dish uses high-fat canned soup. As Chef John said, replacing with fresh vegetables will really maximize both your nutrient content. We lose a lot of nutrients from veggies in the canning process, and it'll just be a lot more flavorful and enjoyable. So this recipe has about 100 calories less per serving than your traditional soup-based green bean casserole. We've cut out more than half the fat and again increased the protein content. Before we move on to the lasagna, I just want to let everybody know that all of the recipes, including these three, will be available tomorrow on the website, good-samaritan-hospital.org/veggie lasagna. This link is also on the flyer on the Facebook page. And currently we do have the veggie lasagna recipe that we're about to demonstrate that is already on there. If anybody has any questions, you can type them in on the chat function, and we'll answer all of those after we're done with the demo.
Okay, so now this comes on to the main part of tonight, and that is we're going to put together a noodleless lasagna. It's going to be a meat lasagna, so I'll have plenty of protein in it. We're just skipping on the carbohydrates. So this is going to be done in 4 parts. What I'd like to do first is prepare our noodles, which it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to use some fresh zucchini. We're going to use fresh yellow squash and a fresh eggplant. This is going to make up our noodles for today. And what I want to do is show you how to cut them. One way of doing it is if you have a mandolin, you can buy them in the stores. This one's a big one for what we do, but you could buy the little plastic ones. They work great. The main thing with the mandolin is watch your fingers. If you have the guard, use the guard. Here at Good Sam, I don't use it. Why, I don't know, but we will show you how it's done. So anyway, you want to get it on, get the right thickness. You want to cut it about, say, 1/4 of an inch thick. Right? We're going to get a few of these started, and I'll show you what we'll do after. I'll show you on a zucchini. We're going to slice it the same way. Now, if you don't have if you don't have a mandolin, you could always use your knife. So with the eggplant, what we normally do is I take off the top. I'll just trim it a little bit on the bottom. What I like to do with zucchini, carrots, or anything like that is I like to start with a little flat bottom. You know, you could use this stuff still, not the ends, of course. We'll get rid of that. And so here, eggplant's not going to roll on me. I'm not going to slice off my fingers. And then it's just cutting some noodles. You want to call them noodles. Now, once we're done with this, what I like to do, and really this can be done the night before, but I would really suggest that you do it at least an hour before you're going to make your lasagna. What I do is I take some paper towels, I'll put my eggplants down, we'll put our zucchini down, we'll put our yellow squash down, take a little bit of salt. Now, a lot of people say, well, salt isn't the healthiest thing. What's going to happen is these are going to bleed, and we're going to press them with paper towels. A lot of that salt is going to come out with the liquid that comes out of the zucchini. The reason we do this is because if you don't, when you go to cut your lasagna later, it's going to be like a bowl of soup. All that liquid comes out of the zucchini, the eggplant, the yellow squash, and it's just a mess. So what you want to do is you want to salt it, not a lot, just a little bit. Take another paper towel. We're going to put that on it. And then just do another layer. You would do the same thing here. And then what you'll have is, maybe you'll have a stack this high for the amount of lasagna you need. And then you're going to put it on a tray. We're going to put it on the side. We'll just let that bleed out and get really dry. The next thing we're going to do now is the meat sauce that would go with this. What I did is I got some Italian chicken sausage. You can use ground turkey. You can use ground pork sausage. You can use ground beef. Whatever you really like. You can mix them all. Whatever you like in your lasagna, that's fine for this recipe. What I also suggest, depending on how strict you want to be, you can either use like an olive oil and just put a spoonful in to help in sauteing, or you could spray the pan with a little bit of pan and, woo. And you like a real hot pan for this because, once again, a lot of the flavor in cooking, especially meats, even vegetables, it's getting that really good caramelization. So we're going to get that. We're going to brown it up somewhat.
Now, after bariatric surgery, we really focus on 3 food groups. Always a protein with either a non-starchy vegetable or a fruit. So the best part about this recipe is that you have a complete and really delicious, satisfying, full bariatric meal in one dish because we have our non-starchy vegetables and lots of them, and we have our low-fat protein. As Chef John said, turkey sausage, chicken sausage, some kind of lean ground turkey or lean ground beef would be a perfect addition.
So what I just did is I added onions, I added some peppers, I added some shallots. We're gonna cook that a little bit in with the meat. Then we're gonna add in near the end garlic because we don't want to burn up the garlic. We add the garlic to it, and then we're gonna add our red wine.
You can substitute the wine with beef broth if you don't have wine or choose not to use it.
We're gonna add our tomato product. I like to use. You can do it several different ways. Even fresh tomatoes, you can take them, you can put them through a blender, then you can strain out some of the seeds. Right here I got some diced tomatoes. I like it because it has a little liquid. We want to cook it down a little bit. And then I have some crushed tomatoes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cook this thoroughly.
Smells delicious already.
Now, I'm going to turn this down and just let it simmer. As that's simmering, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the cheese filling for our lasagna. And what we did here is we took a low-fat ricotta cheese. We took 1 egg we're going to put in that. And we have some fresh basil. We're going to add that in. Very simple.
By using Parsnip ricotta cheese, and also we will be using Parsnip mozzarella, you'll cut the fat content of this dish and really not miss any of the flavor. It should still be nice and creamy.
We're going to put a little salt in here, just a pinch, not a lot, because we're trying to keep it low salt. Some fresh ground pepper. You know, very similar to what you would do at home when you're making your own lasagna. Really the big difference here is going to be that you're not using any pasta sheets. Finally, we're going to add a little bit of basil. I like to put sage in mine. I have some parsley. And if you want more tomato sauce, that's fine too. You can add some more tomato sauce to it. Okay, so we have our noodles ready, we have the cheese ready, and we have our meat sauce ready. So the next thing we want to do is we want to take what we cut before, that we put between paper towels. And we start unwrapping these. And what you're going to see is, even with the eggplant, you can see the eggplant sort of dried out. It doesn't have all that moisture in it. Still has all of its flavor. And actually, because of the salt, the flavor sort of gets condensed into the eggplant. Doesn't have as much liquid in it. Same with your yellow squash, same thing. It's nice and dry where we want it. And our meat sauce is still simmering. You know, it can simmer for, say, 15 to 20 minutes minimum, I would do.
It's very colorful. And the more colors that you have in a dish, especially different colored vegetables, so we have the eggplant, we have yellow squash, we have the zucchini, we have green peppers, even onions and garlic and other things that we don't really think about as vegetables, more like seasoning. All of these different colored vegetables will give you the biggest variety of nutrients that you can get in one dish.
Okay, so now we're going to assemble our lasagna. What we want to do is we want to take a little bit of the meat sauce and put it on the bottom. We do this. One is it helps so that the lasagna itself doesn't stick to the pan. Then we're going to take, you know, our vegetables and start layering them down on the bottom. Put a couple of green, couple of the yellow, and some eggplant, right? Mix it up. We take half of the amount of cheese that we made. So we're going to do 2 layers here. We're going to spread that over our zucchini mixture. Next we want to do is I took some blanched spinach. You know, you can add as many vegetables as you want, you know, so took some blanched spinach. I'm going to put a healthy amount right here.
You can also use frozen chopped spinach as long as you drain it really well when it thaws and squeeze all the liquid that you can out of it.
Next we have mushrooms. Now I didn't saute these. I'm going to keep these raw for this dish because it's going to bake for a while. We're going to give it a nice layer of mushrooms. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to put down some more meat sauce. Yikes. And then we're going to put another layer of zucchini, eggplant, yellow squash. We're going to take the other half of the cheese. And at this point, you know, it's almost ready. We're going to finish it with some mozzarella, some Parmesan.
Whenever possible, you want to shred your own cheese at home instead of buying it pre-shredded if you have the time, because pre-shredded cheese will have some starches added into it so that it doesn't stick together, and that can kind of affect how it melts. So this will be much creamier.
This out of our way. Okay, so what do? Now we take our lasagna, traditional lasagna, meat lasagna. We're going to throw it in the oven. You're going to cook it at 350, 45 minutes, around there to an hour. I would say 45 minutes at 350. And we'll put that in the oven, and we have a finished product right here.
That was fast.
A little too fast.
So now this lasagna has less than half the carbs of your regular lasagna made with pasta, without sacrificing any protein. Tons of nutrition from all of these extra vegetables, a nice high fiber content, and my favorite part of this dish is that it's a complete bariatric friendly meal. There's no need to even make anything else to go with it, because you have, you know, you have your protein and your non-starchy vegetables. And we sampled this here because I made it at home, and it is delicious.
There we go. You got the beef, you have the noodles, you got the meat sauce, the cheese. There you go. You have a traditional lasagna made without any noodles, and this is some of the things we do here at Good Samaritan Hospital. Maggie, you want to end?
Again, the recipe for this is already on the website, which is very long. It's good-samaritan-hospital.org/veggie lasagna. And the reason why we picked this is because my family eats lasagna every Christmas Eve, so that's our tradition. And I think this year we'll have everyone test this one out.
That's all we have.
So thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.